Let's go ahead and get started here. Thanks everyone for taking the time to attend our second breakout session of the day. As you may already know or already may be aware of, if you joined our last session, TrueCommerce provides a suite of commerce network applications as a part of our technology stack offering. So today we're going to help you understand how your organization can really boost online sales by leveraging better product content through a product manager application. Whether you're someone on the call today new to managing rich content, or maybe buried in the process of keeping your rich content consistent across all sales channels, or maybe you're the person managing returns and taking calls from upset customers, I'm hoping that you'll be able to take a lot out of today's discussion and live demonstration. My name is Reed Houston. I'm a channel account executive here at TrueCommerce. I've been with TrueCommerce for a little over 7 years, and I'm really focused on helping educate our partners and businesses like yourself on how you can leverage the TrueCommerce stack of solutions to optimize your supply chain. And then also joining me here today, I have a much better looking individual named Steve Norris. And that's not because he's actually better looking than me. It's just that my picture's a little blurry. Steve Norris is our Vice President of Pre-Sales for Supply Chain Collaboration. And Steve's really focused on helping organizations like yourself collaborate across your entire supply chain. And Steve brings a little over 18 plus years of industry experience. All right, so jumping right in here, folks, you may be on the call today wondering, what exactly does TrueCommerce mean when they talk about product content? And if you're like me, you may have spent years working with manufacturers and distributors with EDI compliance. And really, it's easy for us to get caught up in the, the nuances that come with B2B commerce with, those retailers and distributors, and, how we manage our products in the ERP or the business system itself, like Sage 100. But as you expand your business to more of a direct-to-consumer model, correct product content is extremely important. And there's a lot of content that helps your organization, sell more product that generally doesn't exist within Sage or the business system that you're leveraging. And we call that rich product content. The standard item content that really resides within Sage are things like your item numbers, pricing, inventory levels. But there's a ton of other content that's required to be successful in selling that often resides outside of Sage. Things like detailed feature listings, managing imagery, and being able to SEO optimize product names and descriptions, or managing digital assets like additional images or videos, or even 360-degree views, or maybe instruction manuals. And these tend to be required to sell, whether your sales channels are online, like as you can see here with this product through Amazon, or maybe you're selling into retail as a part of their direct-to-consumer model. So this is the data that helps organizations like yourself be successful with that direct-to-consumer sort of model. We as consumers for so many years are familiar with that retail experience where we could go to the store and we could see the product, touch the product, smell the product, even sometimes taste the product, even though you probably shouldn't be tasting a lot of the products. But before we purchased it, we had those options, right? We had that capability. But when we're buying products online, we expect that same experience without actually being able to, touch or see the product. We need that rich content that typically does not have a native landing spot inside of Sage. We care about product content as consumers, but, you also care about it from a business perspective. The last thing that you want to do all day is take calls from upset customers and manage refund requests and returns due to inaccurate product data, right? Those customers with returns, whether they may be an individual consumer like myself, or maybe it's a distributor or a wholesaler that is reselling your products, they're probably not going to be a repeat customer, right? In fact, 22% of returns are because there's a difference in how the product was displayed and what actually showed up at their doorstep. I know that I've had that experience multiple times, and I can guarantee you everyone on the phone has probably had that experience one way or the other. If you think about that, that's an extremely high percentage of your lost sales due to bad product content. Not only that, but returns and refunds directly correlate to customer reviews. That could mean that a customer did a review, or worst case scenario, they left a bad review. There was a study done by Northwestern University that states that the purchase likelihood for a product with 5 reviews is 270% greater than the purchase likelihood of a product with no reviews. But before you can even get a customer to review your product, you need to get them to purchase the product, right? You need to be able to provide them with that rich content that gives them the confidence that that is the right product to purchase. There's another study that shows that 73% of adults are more likely to purchase after watching an online video of the product. And then in addition to that, conversion rates increase 47% when products are shown with a 360-degree image. So, folks, this is a great indication that rich product content is not just a nice to have, but rather it's a must to be, successful in today's digital commerce world. But if you're adding all this rich content to help boost revenue and become successful, one of the largest barriers that we see in the market is not having a centralized repository for that information. As I mentioned earlier, not all of that information lives inside of Sage or your ERP solution. And if you're wondering, where most of that content would be, as you can see here on my screen, it typically resides in multiple different sources, whether that's local folders, that might be multiple Excel documents, maybe you have a Dropbox account, and then you might also be sourcing some of the basic product information from your ERP. This might be fine if you're selling through, let's say, 1 or 2 different channels. Maybe you're doing a pilot with Lowe's and you have a test order. But if you're expanding your brand into multiple different sales channels, like the popular marketplaces out there, you have your Amazons, your eBays, or maybe you're setting up your own e-commerce storefront, right? Using Shopify or WooCommerce. The more decentralized and chaotic things can get when managing those items through, multiple different sources. But the good news is that that doesn't have to be the case. And this is where product information management, or what we call a PIM solution, comes into play, like TrueCommerce's product manager that Steve's going to share with you here in a few minutes. So a PIM solution provides that single point of truth for your organization. So you're no longer managing this content in a bunch of different places, but now you have that single point of truth where you can see all the data that's related to product content. And a PIM solution does this first by consuming the data or ingesting the data into it. And that data could come from various different sources, right? It could come from Sage for basic things like, the cost, the pricing, the inventory levels, or existing files, maybe some spreadsheets that you're using today that we can import, or maybe through supplier collaboration. Maybe you're already communicating with your suppliers electronically, whether that's through EDI or another electronic format where we can connect there and ingest that data. And then once the data is in there, that's when the fun begins, right? Because that's when you have the ability to start adding value to your products. You can start adding this rich content in, and that's where the enrichment process occurs. Then you have the cleansing of the product. And no, I'm not talking about that kombucha drink that you see at the grocery stores. When I'm talking about cleansing, I mean, I'm referring to the reviewing and the polishing of item content before it's made for sale. And then from there, you work into the workflow management. So, for example, the person that drafts the SEO content for an item may not be the same person that takes the imagery. This is probably done through multiple different emails, right? But how nice would it be to be able to go and have one single point of truth where somebody could go in and say, here are the images that I need to shoot today. Here are the items that we need to review the SEO content for, or here are the items that we need to think about delisting. And then another important part is the validation process. So, if we're doing EDI today, if you're doing EDI today, then you're probably all too familiar with the strict compliance requirements that a lot of the EDI retailers and distributors have. And this is the same process and the same requirements with the various online marketplaces and the online storefronts out there today. For instance, a good example is when you go to list a product on Amazon, there's a series of requirements that Amazon has when you're publishing product data back based on the actual product category. And this is different for your Wayfarers. It's also different for Target Plus and many of the other sales channels out there. So a PIM solution allows you to be able to do that validation so you can make sure that things like the manufacturing part number that's required for Amazon is there. And then the system can tell you if it's not there, so you can go in or have someone else go in and then update that data. A PIM solution then allows you to publish that content to wherever it needs to go, out to the various sales channels that you're selling into. So whether that data needs to be published to a traditional retailer or distributor in the format of an EDI 832 or in a spreadsheet, a PIM would have the ability and the capability to do that. Maybe it's an e-commerce store or a marketplace or a distributor that needs to be able to log in and download your images and content to put on their site. These are things that a PIM allows you to do. So again, a PIM is all about having that centralized repository that's connected both with your internal systems and also the external world where you're selling your products to. But at the end of the day, a PIM can solve many of your business challenges. You or someone in your organization might be drowning in spreadsheets. Typically, it starts with one spreadsheet. Again, maybe you're doing a pilot run with Target or Walmart. But then as you add on additional sales channels, you start to expand into multiple different spreadsheets and multiple different sources. Also, if you have hundreds or thousands of products, you're probably having issues keeping track of which products are up to date, right? And this is where a centralized PIM solution like TrueCommerce's product manager can help. You might have a sales strategy where your trading partners or distributors or wholesalers. You want to make sure that you provide them access to the correct product information and that it's not outdated. That can damage your brand. So this is where a PIM solution can help keep those customers up to date with the latest and greatest product information, helping with brand consistency, right? Also, you may be having trouble keeping the requirements to win the buy box on Amazon because you're not meeting their threshold of 4+ star reviews and your product content's not accurate. So you're buried in returns and you're not able to meet Amazon's minimum return percentage. This again is where TrueCommerce's product manager solution can help increase your sales. Now, kind of shifting a little bit and focusing on the steps to product information management success, there's a few different stages that I'd like to address here before I hand you over to Steve. Number one is going to be the collection of your core data. So this can be done a myriad of different ways depending on where you store that data today. That could be through our native framework integration with Sage or through other means like file uploads or existing spreadsheets that we can leverage. And then from there, you move on to enriching your product content. Now, now that you have your basic item content, now we're able to enhance those items with rich content that are required by each channel that product is being sold through. So things like descriptions, which can also be published in multiple different languages, 360 views, imagery, product videos, etc. And then once your products are all ready, it's time to put a little bit of a strategy together for your go-to-market, right? With the tools that we offer, we can easily help you identify which of your products are ready for publication based on that sales channel requirement, and then which items need your attention because maybe they're missing that required data from that particular sales channel. And then from there, we also give you the tools to internally collaborate with your team around the product life cycles to really ensure that all of your products are completely accurate, they're reviewed before publication, and then managed thereafter. And then last but not least here, for the roadmap, it's around publishing those products to the sales channels or to your customers. And this is where you have the ability to establish your catalogs, and then it can be done through a myriad of different ways, whether that's by brand, by channel, maybe even based on price. And then from there, you can schedule the publication of those catalogs to all or select channels, along with giving your distributors or other resellers access to those catalogs through a secure login. But folks, that's everything that I wanted to address with you here before we jumped into the live portion of the demonstration. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Steve Norris, our Vice President of Pre-Sales for Supply Chain Collaboration.
Thanks, everybody. You should be seeing my screen here in a second. It's good to have everybody on the call today. I should be seeing a screen that has quite a few products on it. If you see the wrong screen, somebody let me know. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started. So really want to walk you through how you would use the solution in a day in the life of, right? And we'll walk you through this really in the same steps that Reed just covered off. But we'll show you this through our solution product manager. What you're seeing on the screen is our product information management system we call Product Manager. It's in our TrueCommerce foundry of applications. Everything you'll see today from within here is 100% in HTML5, is 100% web-based. So there's nothing that has to be installed in your environment. This is managed 100% inside TrueCommerce's cloud. Because it's designed in HTML5, it's fully responsive. So whether you want to update or look at product information via, on your computer, or you have sales reps that are doing field sales and want to be able to access this on an iPad, or they want to be able to access it on their phone, certainly capable of being able to do that. We'll start today by talking about how we get data into the system. Reed had mentioned and did a great job covering off that many organizations, probably not unlike yourself, are managing this content partially in Sage, right, around basic item information, and then oftentimes in many different spreadsheets, as well as being able to maybe have images and videos maybe on a Dropbox account or a local shared drive. So the first thing we'll talk about is how you get your data into the system. And if you listen to a lot of these analyst firms like Gartner and IDC, and you ask them, why do these product information management projects fail? Oftentimes because of the development required and the technical capacity needed to be able to get data into the system and into these systems in the first place. The nice thing is we think we came up with a way of being able to get this data in simply, right? We have a direct integration from Sage into our platform to be able to source base product information. And then we allow you to be able to go in and import your content directly into the system. And you can do this through a simple spreadsheet import. So if we go in and we'll take a look today at a fictitious company that I have called Norris Guitars. If we wanted to import information about our products, we would simply be able to go in, hit the upload button, select our spreadsheet, have it rendered on the screen here, and then it's really just a matter of going in and saying, hey, which fields do I want to map to where? So if I wanted to change, for instance, where my item name was coming from, you can see I can hit a drop-down box and it's showing me the header records that are a part of the spreadsheet. So it's very easy for me to go in. I don't need to be a technical programmer to do this. I'm just uploading my spreadsheet and saying, which fields do I want to put in which fields within our product manager? Makes it really easy for us to be able to import content. Again, whether it's coming from Sage 100 or other areas of your organization, or maybe even from your supplier community, you have the ability to be able to import them in using your solution. The nice thing is that I can go in and I can have the system upload that information. So as you can see there, what I went through in that process is I uploaded that spreadsheet into our product manager. We'll see now that we should see those products directly from that product, which is our guitar cable or our instrument cable, directly in the system. You'll see that actually it's appearing right here on the screen, and you'll see that it has a status bar across the bottom. This is what we call a readiness evaluation. This is where we're going in and we're saying, is this product ready to be published to the places that you need to publish them to? To Reed's point earlier, whether that's an online storefront that you're using, whether it's multiple online marketplaces, if it needs to be pushed out to a physical distributor catalog or needs to be sent out to a retailer, we can do that validation as a part of it. So I can drill into this particular product and look at my readiness evaluation. So this particular product, I'm planning on selling on my Shopify site, on eBay, as well as on the Amazon marketplace. And you can see that I'm telling you exactly which fields are missing that's a part of those publications. So if I want to push this to my Shopify site, I need an image and I need my description. If I want to publish this to eBay, eBay wants an image, a feature list, and I need to make sure I have some kind of identification as to whether it needs a Prop 65 warrant. Similar thing here with Amazon Marketplace, but they require a manufacturer's part number, right? So the system is quickly and easily telling you, here's what's missing for you to be successful in publishing these items to the places that it needs to go. But what's nice is that we're not just validating the mandatory fields that are a part of these different channels. You have the ability to be able to go in and adjust the validations for each of the channels. You see, if you think about fields that are required when you're selling on an online marketplace or selling through a retailer, oftentimes the fields that are marked as required are a very limited subset of the fields that could be provided. If you look at Wayfair, for instance, if you've been out and you've bought furniture recently on Wayfair, or even if you've just gone in and kind of, window shopped around on the site, you know that you can get to a lot of granularity from within the search based on the attributes of the product. For instance, a few months ago, I was looking for a dining room table. I could go in, there were literally thousands of configurations where I could go and say, yes, I want it to be wood. Maybe I want the legs to be metal. Maybe I want it on casters so I could push it around, but the casters need to have brakes on it. I prefer if it was an oak top, right? Ability to be able to provide all those attributes allows you to be able to appear in more granular searches. And to Reed's point earlier, allow you to be able to capture more of the market share as a part of some of your marketplace sales. So you have the ability to be able to go in and adjust these validations. So you could go in and say, hey, for me and my products, there are specific attributes that I want to make sure are always available when I publish to this particular channel. So you can see here are the validations that we're doing already. But if we wanted to go in and we wanted to say, hey, we want to make sure that for our accessories products that we have, the guitar type identified that it would work with, we could go in, simply drag that over and say, hey, this field is now required. So it makes it really easy for you to be able to add in additional validations that you may want to do that would be specific to the different sales channels that you sell on. The other thing you have the ability to be able to do is to be able to, check the quality of the data. So for instance, on a UPC, you might say, hey, I want to actually make sure that this actually is 12 digits like it's supposed to be, right? So I could go in and I can define those requirements from within here. This is giving you the ability to be able to have our system automatically validate the content for the product before it gets published out to the other channels, and gives you a really easy way of being able to go in and see specifically what's missing for a particular product in order for you to be able to sell it across the different channels that it's for. So when I go in, just like we saw before, we can see that those fields that are missing for each of the different channels. Now, how do I go in and edit this? A lot of that depends on how many items you're talking about editing. You do have the ability to be able to do bulk select and bulk updates directly from within the platform. So you can do that across hundreds, if not thousands of items if you wanted to. You also could use the spreadsheet import that I just showed you in order to be able to do an automatic update if you wanted to be able to add additional attributes to items that are in a certain category or things along those lines. But what I'll show you here is how easy it is for me to be able to actually go in and edit this item. So I can actually go into the system and I can associate my imagery with it. The system manages digital assets that are as a part of its program. So I can go in and I can upload the different imagery that I want to include as a part of the products that I'm selling. So I'll upload 2 images here, but know that, to Reed's point again earlier, you have the ability to be able to manage all digital assets from within here. So whether these are things like videos or 360 views, or these are documentation like assembly instructions or spec sheets or chemical makeup or things along those lines that you want to be able to track, you can simply go in and select them and associate them with the appropriate item or items as well. You'll notice that, when we looked at the readiness evaluation, there was also missing as a part of that evaluation, the description fields. So I can go in and I can curate my descriptions. What's nice about the way the system is architected is you have this concept of workflow management, where you can go in and you might say, hey, the person that shoots the imagery and does the work that's associated with the imagery isn't the same person that writes the content, right? So you have the ability to be able to have different workflows based on the different statuses that they're in. So if, for instance, I attached my imagery here, but I have somebody that's going to go in and they're going to write the SEO optimized content, that particular user, once they've uploaded the images, could go in and say, hey, this is ready for attribute review or needs description or things along those lines. These are all user-defined activity statuses that can be configured based on your implementation. When we go in and we look at our descriptions, we can have an unlimited number of description fields from within here. You can see I've created a few, but from within the system, I can have as many or as few of these as I would like. And these can be adjusted based on your organization. Now today, rather than trying to think on the fly what a good description would be for this particular product, I could actually go in and I'm just going to put in some of my content here. So I might go in and I might say, hey, I want to be able to update my long description. And I have some content that I've already curated for this, right? Maybe I want to go in, and we saw earlier that I need to have, I need to have a feature list if I want to sell this on eBay. So I could go ahead and I could add that feature list in here, right? Maybe I want to go in and quickly add some bullet points to the front of it. I could certainly do that as well. If I wanted to have a different description for Amazon or a different description for other channels that I sell on, I could certainly do that as well. And maybe here I just say, hey, this is a guitar, this is a guitar cable, right? The nice thing is that this also can be, the system can also be leveraged for automated language translation. So as your organization thinks about expanding geographies, or you think about how do you capture more market share from people that might be looking for content in a different language, the system has the capability of being able to do the translation for you. We leverage the Microsoft Cognitive Translation Services in order to be able to translate into about 60 plus different languages. We can see from within here, I can quickly and easily get to a point that I could translate all my content into Spanish. And then I could go in and I can edit that Spanish translation. I'm not sure how good yours is. Mine will barely, your Spanish might be really good. Mine will barely get me through ordering tacos at midnight most nights. But you can go in and adjust the translation. A lot of times you see this being changed for things like language localization and the like, but this allows you to be able to think about how to reach broader audiences. System has the ability to be able to do that in an automated fashion. You also have the ability to be able to have master and child products. So as you think about maybe some of the products that you sell that might be in multiple different case pack sizes or come in multiple sizes, or maybe it's a product that has multiple colors and sizes, like that you'd see commonly in like apparel or in footwear, things along those lines, you do have the ability to be able to manage that as a part of the overall solution. So you can have different variants, you can have even different imagery by variant. So if you wanted to be able to say, hey, this red shirt comes in this particular size, or this cable comes in black and red and green and 16 other colors, you have the ability to be able to do that from within here. You'll see that I can go in, I can enter things like my manufacturer's part number. I could go in and adjust things like my, things like my weight as a part of it. So I could go in, I could enter those details from within here. And I have the ability to be able to go in and add rich attribution. So I have the ability to be able to go in and configure different values as a part of the overall process. I can have as many or as few attributes and attribute groups as I would like. You'd see here I have an attribute group that's helping describe the product and telling me a little bit more about my accessories category and attributes. I have some SEO tags in here as a part of an attribute. I'm supporting the Shopify meta fields as a part of our integration. But I might also have a group that I call compliance, right? Where you're managing all of the content in regards to levels of compliance. Whether, does it need a California Prop 65 warning? Does it meet Fair Trade and Labor Standards Act requirements? Does it meet certain other compliance criteria? That can all be managed from within the platform, with the idea being that you can have an unlimited number of attributes, an unlimited number of descriptions, and even an unlimited number of categories. So we can see here, we just went in and put in our Prop 65 compliance requirements, and we can go back and we can go back and say, hey, we want to be able to go in and maybe we want to do some adjusting on the pricing. Reed talked a little bit about how we can pull pricing directly from Sage 100, but if you wanted to do something complex like running a promotional price, you do have the capabilities of being able to do that from within the platform. So if you wanted to be able, to go in and run a promotion to say, hey, if they order the product in a certain period over a certain period of time, and you wanted to be able to have a percentage discount if they order in bulk or things along those lines, maybe I'm doing maybe I'm going to run a fall maybe I'm going to run a fall special that'll run me into the Black Friday, holiday. I could do that. And I could go in and say, hey, I only maybe want to do this, specifically for my own e-commerce platform, right? I can go in, I could add that content in. I could say, hey, is it a simple discount where I'm just giving a percentage off or a dollar amount off? Or is it quantity based where they had, maybe I say, hey, if they order more than 5, I'm going to give them 10% off. These are things I can manage from a promotional perspective inside the platform as well, that expands past the capabilities that you'd have today within the Sage environment. The nice thing is then once I've added that content, I actually can have the system rerun my check-in. This can happen on a scheduled basis, or I could go in and quickly launch that directly from within, the application as well. So I can see now I've gone in, it's ready to publish to Shopify, it's ready to publish to eBay, but I still need to enter that manufacturer's part number to meet Amazon's compliance requirements. I'll quickly go over, I'll look at my manufacturer's part number, make sure I have that entered in the system. We'll go ahead and we'll save that. And then you have the ability to be able to go in from within there. We can go back to our screen here, rerun our readiness check, and then you'll see here that it's, you'll see here now it's past completion. So now this is telling me this is published out to Shopify, it's published out to eBay, it's published out to my Amazon Marketplace site. And we can see that in action if we go back over and we take a look at my Shopify site. So if we pop over here, you'll see my fictitious store, Norris Guitars. If we go over to our accessories, we now see our black instrument cable. We see that it's $32. We're running a sale right now where it's $29.99. You can see I have my description populated directly from within here. So again, we're allowing you to be able to aggregate data into a single repository from Sage 100 or the Sage environment that you're running today, along with being able to allow you to supplement that with your rich content, curate the content, and then publish that out to the appropriate channels that you're selling on. Now, when you think about marketplace sales, this becomes a little bit more difficult. Not by much because we make it really easy, but there's more things to manage. So for instance, when you're selling on a marketplace like an Amazon, like an eBay, they have their own what they call taxonomy. Think about that as that what you call your product attributes isn't what Amazon calls them, which is probably different than what eBay calls them, which is different than what Wayfair calls them, right? And then whether that's attributes or that's categories, you run into that. So the nice thing is that you have the ability to be able to go in and say, hey, based on the channel that I'm selling through, I want to be able to go in and say, hey, my internal category matches to this particular Amazon category, right? Or eBay category or otherwise. So we allow you to be able to say, hey, when I have specific products, like for this case where I'm selling allergy medicine, my internal company category is just called allergy medicine, right? But Amazon has that filed under the category of health and beauty, healthcare products, allergy care, right? Where eBay has that is in a completely different area. So we allow you to be able to manage that mapping of your categories to the channel specific categories. We can do the same for attributes. The other nice thing is if you wanted to be able to go in and say, hey, show me all products that I'm publishing to Amazon that aren't ready to be published to Amazon, you have the ability to be able to go in and see that. So you can quickly and easily see, and maybe a better example might be, my Shopify site, but I can quickly and easily see which products haven't met the validation requirements that are for that particular channel, right? So I have the ability to quickly and easily be able to see which items are ready, which items are not ready, and what specifically is missing for all. So I can quickly and easily understand which items need to be updated that are part of my Shopify catalog or my Amazon catalog or my eBay catalog or other channels that I want to be able to sell through. The other thing to think about as well is there's likely folks that you want to be able to provide this product data to that may not be online at all. They may be distributors that you want to be able to send over imagery so they could put on a website, or it's a distributor that you want to be able to log in and see their pricing and your products, right? So you can allow them to have access to the system. so that they could go in and only see those items that are a part of a catalog that you've curated for them. So from within here, if I wanted to be able to say, hey, I have distributors that I call my level 1 distributors, and I want to have a fall catalog for them, you have the ability to be able to go in and add products specifically to that catalog. And you can give access to the distributor to only be able to see products that are part of that catalog that's been created for them. These catalogs can be built specifically for a distributor or group of distributors, but this is also where I can go in and I can say, hey, here's what products that I want to be able to make available, for instance, on my Shopify site. And what's really cool is that I don't have to go in and even select all these products. So if you say, hey, Steve, you know what? We always publish all of our products on Shopify, but we always send only our furniture category products down the Wayfair. You would have the ability to be able to do that from within the platform. So you can actually go in, and say, here are the product conditions, right, that I want to be able to manage as a part of the overall platform. So you can say, here are the product conditions that would qualify to have items automatically become a part of a specific catalog. So I might go in and I might say, hey, items that are in a specific category, I want to be able to always make a part of a particular catalog or always make available to this particular distributor or group of distributors. I can do that from within here, right? So you can see here, I've said, hey, anything that's part of my Pyromania brand, go ahead and include as a part of this. And I might also say, hey, anything that's in a particular category like furniture, I want to be able to include as well. That's nice because as you add new products, which inevitably you'll do over time, you don't have to go in and manually assign them to the catalog. The system can automatically curate that catalog for you. Again, making it very easy for you to be able to, automate both the catalog creation and the publication. Lastly, we do have the ability to be able to, and we talked a little bit earlier about the workflows. You have the ability to be able to have different workflows as a part of the overall solution. We call those workflows product life cycles. The idea behind this is that in some organizations, you're going to find, and maybe this is applicable to yours, that there's not one person that handles all this information. Oftentimes, maybe you're outsourcing the image shooting. Maybe there's a content writer that sits on the marketing team that's writing some of the SEO optimized content. Maybe there are folks from accounting or product that want to be able to collaborate on pricing, right? You have the ability to be able to go in and define these different workflows. You can see here on the screen, I put together a pretty easy one. I've gone in and said, hey, when a new product comes in, send it for pricing review. If that price is 0, put it on pricing quarantine and send an email to a user or group of users letting them know the pricing needs to be reviewed. If the price is there, send it to marketing for attribute review. And once they've completed the attribute review, send an email over to photography to let them know, hey, this is ready for an image shoot, right? Once they've attached the imagery, they can mark it as ready for marketing and have marketing approve that so that it can be published. And then at the end of the day, being able to say, hey, this product is discontinued. Maybe you replaced it with another SKU, maybe you're out of inventory, ability to be able to do that. These can be driven through configuration. Our team works with you on that configuration in order to be able to identify early on in our business process review, what are the different steps that you want to take a product through. But this allows you to be able to handle both the internal and external collaboration across your organization on this product content. Because it's important, if we're going to store all this data in a centralized repository, that we give you the ability to understand what's missing so you can adjust it, and the ability to be able to have workflow around this so you can get those things that are missing over to the right people at the right point in time. This is going to help you be able to achieve what Reed talked about earlier, how you keep yourself from being buried in spreadsheets, how you keep yourself in a good position to win the Amazon buy box, maybe more importantly, keep yourself from being buried under that stack of boxes that are part of returns. Guys, that's what I had to show you guys today. Hope you liked our product walkthrough and our demonstration. We'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and pass this back over to Reed, and I think we can open this up for questions if you guys have any.